Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing? We are live. Today is Wednesday, March 18th. and we're getting ready to attack these markets. All right, let me fix myself right now. Got my mic a little bit too far. We're going to get things going. Today we got some big news. We have equities dropping. We're going to see what we can get into today. All right, let me see if I'm good. And then we'll have Steve coming in later during the day. We have big news today coming at 2 p.m. But we did have some news earlier. So let's take a quick look. Had my news pulled up right now. We have the PPI. Okay, forecast was 0.3. Came in at 0.7. We had core PPI came in at 3.9 versus a consensus of 3.7. All right. 153 versus 152. What other news do we have? All right, we got the Fed meeting, the interest rate decision at 2 p.m. Consensus says 340, 375. Yesterday, I was talking to Airplane Jane live, and she was saying she thinks they are going to increase rates. Well, in my opinion, I think rates are going to remain the same, but we will see. My opinion is that everybody is kind of in a wait and see mode, including the U.S. Federal Reserve. So we'll see what they decide. All right, I was taking a quick look at gold. We have everything tumbling. You know what? Before we take a look at gold, let me just go over this really quick. Let's look at the overall view. All right, we have most assets tumbling right now. All right. Well, we're going to run through things. I did not prepare my charts today, so we are going to check it out. Hey Stuart, how you doing? How you doing? You said you just watched Jane's channel before coming here. Oh, nice. Well, what was the highlight of this morning? What did she mention? Were you watching her on TTP or on her personal channel? Let me know. All right, so let's take a look at the cues first. By the way, yesterday I realized I forgot to mention that to Jane, is that we're rolling over. So we're going from March's contract, which is the H6, to the next contract, which is the M6. A good thing on trading view is that you could see, let me show you really quick. You could see the contract rollover. So if you go there, you can see that little highlight there, and you can see that we're going from the March contract to the June contract. So H is for March, M is for June, in alphabetical order. So that's why she was getting different prints. Oh, her personal channel. She's on CCP now. All right. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Jane is always a pleasure and a trip to have here. Did she mention anything? Is she still maintaining her stance that the Fed is going to raise interest rates? Let me know. All right, guys, we're going to run through. So since my lines are, let me go to day analysis. By the way, I'm switching tabs here. Since I have 0 lines on the new contract, I'm going to do this right now, and you'll be able to see how I prepare my charts for trading. So we're going to do it for the NQ. We're going to do it for the ES real quick. And then we'll probably look at the Dow, and we'll go over each asset. And then let me know in the chat. Remember to like, remember to subscribe if you can. And yeah, let's run through this. All right. And then we'll see what trades we can find. Hopefully we could find some good trades. So didn't catch this short this morning because I trade live, but I did catch part of it on my personal account. I actually still have it running. Let me check really quick how that's doing. All right, we're well into profit, so that's good. I was able to catch that pullback right there. So looking good so far. All right, let's see. Let's get our levels going first. So we got our volume profile. And usually I tell you, I put my inflection lines first. So this would be inflection 1. Now, probably this is not going to come into play today because we had an insane reaction there. But we have another inflection right here, which might come into play. And you'll see how that high volume node matches with this one over there. So, all right, since we got our inflections, I usually prefer them in gray so they don't interfere too much with the trading. So we're going to put gray, apply. And then, you know what? Let me just copy this so I don't have to recolor them each time. So we'll run through this. And while I'm doing this, we can look at how the functionality of the platform works. You can see I'm putting the lines, and then you can click on it and you have your settings there to modify the colors, etc. And there's some color presets there that you can choose. So this is good. We saw kind of a wall there at that 25 180 level, which is interesting to me. We'll see how that comes into play. Now we got some levels in. Let's get our other levels. I usually like to put these in blue or cyan. There we go. You know, I think how bright, I keep my chart very bright for you guys here, but I think eventually I'm going to start putting it with more tan and lighter colors, because I think that affects how you trade. I know some traders don't put red bars on there because they affect you psychologically. So we're reacting nicely off of that inflection point there, which is the high volume node here and here. We'll see, maybe we could get a bounce off that. That 24,900 level was an interesting one. So that's where the asset was bought on the 16th. So, you know, this area, this 24,900 area is still acting as support. So we're going to have it marked as support for us, and we'll see how we react there, right? And then we had this range here, and this area acted as resistance. And that sits nicely between these two levels and here, this low volume node here. So that's going to be another level of interest for us. Now, if things move up, we'll consider this level as another level of interest, this high volume node, and we will just have a third level just somewhere down there, right here at this pocket, which is where I think we might get some and more interaction if we move down. Now, I think we're gonna have to play between the 24,800s and the 24,900s, just below the 25s, unless we get, a continued down move. So we'll see what happens. Let me just measure and see what the drop was. So about 300 points, which is pretty considerable for the NQ. So we'll see what happens there. And once the market opens. We are 20 minutes away from the open, so we will continue to look at the different assets. Now, let me just trace my trend line. As usual, I will put a 15-minute, and this is a very, very steep trend, a good opportunity for buying some kind of dip. So we'll see if we can buy a dip or not. Let me get my VWAP back. Yeah, so we'll see if we can, buy some dips. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see what happens. All right, so resistance would be just under there. I'm putting this under this. So these candles are saying something to me. You see how these 1 minute candles rode this trend right there. So this is a key resistance level for me. And then we tried to tap twice, so I could move this down a little bit. But this basically, I have dynamic trend lines when I trade, right? And price tends to form channels, so I usually try to trace a channel and see, okay, what is price doing? All these lines in illustration, what they're telling me is, okay, how did price interact at certain levels and at what speed? So the horizontal levels are telling me, okay, these are the levels of interest. This is where price settles, this is where price push through, and the trend lines are telling me at what speed, right? How fast did we move to this level or this level or this level, right? So for example, here, what price is telling me is, okay, we had some hesitation there, but we were more bearish than bullish, right? So all through this area right there, this becomes a point of information for me. And then when we lost this level and we push through lower, well, I have this horizontal level that tells me, well, okay, once we got to here, there was some hesitation going. We tried to push back up, which means people started buying the dip here. And then people bought the dip again here. And there, people are getting more aggressive in buying this dip, but they are also covering. So whoever was short from up there is covering here, here, here. And then if we measure and we try to think, okay, where did the sellers enter? So we could look at different points where the trend, where the price expands. We can try and think, okay, they probably entered here. And look at how interesting this looks. If you entered here and you were risking this previous high, the 2-to-1 level goes and sits exactly there, right? And then the 3-to-1 level sits exactly there. What does that tell you? That tells you that the majority of traders probably entered here, and the majority was covering here and was covering here, right? So what that tells me is today, while we're trading, this area here and this area here is going to become two areas of interest, right? Let me highlight it for you guys. This area here, so this level, and this area here, so this level, is going to become two of my areas of interest. Of course, that is if and only if we revert back and go test these levels, right? So like we're saying in the chat, show us some love. Remember to like, remember to subscribe. So yeah, this is what we will be looking for on the cues today, right? It would be interesting if we were able to get some kind of recovery, you know. So we'll look at the bullish view as usual. We get some kind of recovery, a pullback, and a reversion to the mean. The mean there being VWAP. So it would be nice if we could get some kind of thing like that. That would be the more bullish scenario, right? Now let's look at the more neutral scenario. If we revert back and then this level becomes the resistance, well, we would probably push back to here and we would probably get some other buyers coming in and then maybe go and retest this, but not all the way up because sellers will anticipate and maybe we'll get, a push down, a retest, and then another push down. So maybe that will be our second scenario, bearish scenario. Now, what would be the neutral scenario if we get a lot of hesitation, which is highly likely because we have news at of the Fed at 2 p.m. and maybe a lot of people are going to be sitting on the sidelines. Maybe we might get a retest here and move here, and then it get bots here and sold here and retest the middle of the range, gets here, goes down here, goes further down, finds liquidity, goes back up, reverts back until we get our news, and then traders decide how they're going to position themselves. So, this would be kind of a neutral scenario here on the NQ. We'll see what happens. We will now continue to attack the other assets and see how we can possibly trade them. So I'm giving you scenarios, I'm giving you ideas of what, might happen. We could totally continue to push further. That's totally possible. So far we're 300 points in. So from here to here, we've seen the Qs go to 1,000 points, 1,000 point days. So this would be 400 points, and then 1,000 point down, sorry, would be much lower. So anything is possible. This is an interesting entry actually. We could maybe enter here and target the lows. Let's see. Not getting really what I would want. What I would have wanted is probably a retest higher around here, and then some kind of wick and a rise in volume to maybe try and short this. But being so close to the open, I don't know if I want to enter a trade right now. All right, so now that we got the Qs out of the way, by the way, for those that don't know, we have had the contract rollover. So if we're looking here, we have a price of 24,900, and if we look at the old contract, we are trading at 24,600, right? Now, this difference in price is happening because most traders have switched to this contract. We're getting much more volume there than on the other one. If I look at the other one and we're looking at the movement, we're getting similar moves, but not with the same intensity, right? Let me go on the 1 minute. So I don't know if you could see it, but this is moving much slower than this. What it tells me is that the volume is concentrated here on this contract, right? So we're not going to need the H6 anymore. I forgot to write my areas of interest. So what you can do to delete drawings is go to here and then you put delete all studies of actually delete all studies from layout day analysis. So we'll click that and we don't need those studies anymore. We'll close this and we'll focus on the M6 for now. All right, so now that we got this out of the way, we're going to switch to the ES. Same scenario here. We were looking at the H6. So two ways you could look at what is the next contract. You could go there and then put MES futures current, which is the H6. The next one is the M6, so we're going to open that one. All right, that means that the contract is going to close. What you can do also is, I know a lot of people use TradingView. You can go to TradingView and those little purple arrows there show you what is the current contract. So MES H6 is the one for March and the M1 is the next one for June. All right, futures contracts each have letters that designate that contract rollover. We actually just did a post on Instagram talking about that. We've done multiple ones actually. futures contracts expire and you have to roll your position. So basically sell the one from the March contract, and if you are long, of course, buy the one for the June contract if you want to roll it, because they're going to close and they are going to settle, and the big traders are going to either do a cash settlement if they were trading the indexes, and the ones that trade commodities are either going to do a cash settlement, or more specifically maybe take delivery on those oil barrels or gold uh bullions. All right, so same analysis we're going to do here. We're going to run through this really quickly. We're going to open our volume profile. We're going to put our inflection points. So I like to have a dotted line. I usually do this before the live. Didn't have time today. It's been a busy morning. You know what? I actually forgot my personal my position I had on. All right, let me close that because I see some buying. All right, position is closed. Let's focus on this. So we're gonna put this gray. So we're gonna look at the ES real quick. So now I have my volume profile. We're looking at the nodes, we're seeing those high volume nodes right there, right there, right there, and right there. And then we're also seeing low volume nodes where there was less volume traded. And you could see how, these high volume nodes correspond to where price kind of settled, right? For at least a little bit. And same thing here. We had a high volume node here, and then price kind of settled here, did a pullback, and then continued further down. With this whole move, you have, lower volume happening here. Just 1 second here. I hear the doorbell. I have somebody here. Are you ready? I have Mr. Super Steve Tailman in the house. How you doing?
Howdy, good morning, Dave.
You doing good? Doing good?
Oh, doing all right, doing all right. This pre-market's just happening so fast. I'm
It's
excited to see
happening
what
fast.
unfolds. How you doing, man?
Yep. It's happening fast. I don't know if you had time to catch a move or not.
Not this morning, no. So
Okay.
this morning, so far, what I've done is I've woken up, I've set up my beautiful new profile here on CT Trader, so I'm ready to go. I'm raring to go.
Nice.
I took one trade last night, and then I just double checked my settings this morning, so I'm ready to go. Have you taken anything yet?
Not on the live account because I only traded live, but I did catch part of that drop on my personal account,
Very
which I
nice.
actually just closed a few minutes ago. Well, a few seconds ago. So yeah, maybe I only caught the last third of the move.
It's
So
interesting seeing it kind of wick back into that. Let's see, there's an area of a little bit of weak tape between. Well, right now I'm just looking at NAS 100 here at 64 or 24,600 to 24,695. Let me pull up the Nasdaq here, the good old Nasdaq.
go ahead, go ahead.
There we go. Yeah, the 24,700 level is the kind of little pivot I'd like to see forming here in the next 10 minutes into open here. Then
Okay.
Dave, how do you like opening ranges? Are you a big opening range player?
I am not a big one, but I do like them when they show up. I think I think we took one, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? We took an ORB, an opening range breakout, and it was an okay one, just half an R on it.
Mm.
But I like them. I like them. I mean, they could be tricky,
Oh yeah.
but interesting setup. I actually, every time we trade live, I usually do, I draw that opening range box for the traders so they can see what to look at and kind of guide people on, okay, if I was going to take ORB, this is where I'll enter. This is where I would look to exit. And when I do take them, I usually look at a one-to-one risk to reward. So I'll risk the range and then try to capture that range,
I love it.
either upside or downside.
I love it, and I'm actually a really big fan of those one-to-one risk rewards. I
Yep.
For me, like it ain't broke. I'm not trying to fix it. I see so
I
many
agree.
people. You ever get in those 5-to-1 risk reward traps where you're like you're searching for that perfect entry, and then you end up not taking a trade, or
Yep.
maybe getting married to it. That
Yep.
I'll take the 5-to-1s, and then I'll get 3-to-1 in, and then I'll be like, well, it's got to go the whole way, right?
Yeah,
Take
exactly.
the
Yeah.
root.
That is true. Where you're trying to catch those home runs, and you're a 3-to-1 in, 475 to 1 in. You're like, it's gonna hit the take profit, and then it reverts all the way back down.
That's
So
all.
yeah, they can be tricky. I'm a big fan of 1-to-1s, 1.5-to-1s. Just you get steady base hit, base hit, base hit, and then once in a while you'll get this huge outlier trade that'll change your P&L for the week or the month, or maybe the year.
Mhm.
But I'm a big fan of just take regular, at least for the way I am, the way I trade, the way I like to trade. um I'm always open to the possibility of catching a home run, but I'm usually, by the way, it's funny we're talking about home runs and you have that New York Yankees hat. But yeah, I'm a big fan. If you have the risk reward, the percentage. I mean, if your win rate is decent, 1-to-1, 1 to 1.5 is perfectly fine.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I'm with you. And yeah, it's been doing me well just here in the morning sessions, just kind of double checking that. That's why I mentioned opening range, because I've just been trying to kind of quantify a little bit more to get out of the kind of the vibes trading thing, because for me, I don't know, there's something about the opening volume rush that it gets the vibes trader in me going. So this is the
Yep.
one time of the day where I am prone to messing up a little bit. So the first 15 minutes of the day is my stops, slow down, make sure I'm
Yeah.
aware of what's going on, because things can change very fast in this period of time.
That is true. That is true. I will usually let those first 15 run out unless I see something really, really, attractive and interesting.
Yeah.
I'll wait for the 15 minutes, even half hour to run before I take any trades. But of course, it depends. It depends on what's happening. For example, right now, we're getting something that would be a possible valid entry of a reversal for me, but I'm gonna wait because also, today we have the Fed
Right.
news coming in, so price action tends to be bizarre on those days and then go parabolic. So well, parabolic either way, up or
Yeah.
down.
Maybe both.
So we'll see. Yesterday I was talking to Jane. I want to get your insights on that. What are you thinking? Is the Fed gonna raise rates? Is the Fed gonna keep things the same? Jane was saying that she thinks that they're gonna raise rates. My opinion is that they're gonna leave things unchanged. Just because of what I'm seeing everywhere. Ch- Charts are showing me, well, up until yesterday, charts were showing me that everyone is kind of in wait and see mode. And I
Mhm.
guess they were, waiting and seeing what the Fed is going to do. And I think the Fed as well is probably in wait and see mode when it comes to that whole, geopolitical. Hey, what's the name?
Sorry, the boss showed up. I had to
Yeah, no
show her
problem.
what's going on. Didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I was asking, what's the name? What's the name of your cat?
This is Cleo. If she wants
Cleo.
to show her face to the camera, she's a little mad because she has a new neighbor.
Okay.
A big dog just moved into the house, so she's in the adapting phase.
Oh, all right. All right. No problem at all.
Sorry there.
Um,
I
yeah.
wanted to say, by the way, I love what I think you're doing there with that kind of parallel channel, like the parallel level there for the kind of resistance support zone. Is that kind of to give more of a buffer, like so it's not like a one line, it's more like a zone of interest there
Yeah,
on the top of
exactly.
that? Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that's what I was explaining is that usually, the way I trade is using we could run through it actually. Let's look at the ES and I'm gonna show you real quick. Well, we're about to open, but since we're
Oh
gonna
yeah, yeah,
wait, but yeah, usually, you know what? Let me see what how the NQ reacts real quick, but maybe
absolutely.
we'll find something. But yeah, the idea behind that is that all right, yep, it would have been a nice long entry.
Yeah, looking like it might do that mitigation move to. I'm looking at 24 6 7. I'm sorry, 760. 24 760 is that handle that I'd like to see a little surge into.
760. Okay.
So
I
basically where we
think
fell off from.
if you're looking at you're looking at the Nas 100, right? So I think we're about maybe we have 100 point difference.
No, yeah, sorry, I switched back over to the MNQs there to
Oh,
try
sorry.
to match up with you there.
Okay,
Making
okay, okay, no problem.
So yeah, just
Um,
waking up into that little kind of big red candle from 842, and I'm kind of keeping an eye on that zone as we navigate an opening zone. But I'm definitely not taking a trade for the reason you mentioned. You were one step ahead of me there talking about the FOMC. It's gonna be a little less predictable. The moves are gonna be a little less. I just can't trust them as much today, you know. So
yeah,
I'm a fan of trading the session after when we kind of get some coherence and Powell stops talking and the market can kind of chill out for a second.
indeed, indeed. I see you, you're always on during power hour. Is that your preferred trading time frame?
Well, it's funny, you know, I so there's a few windows where I really like to trade. My favorite window is actually starting in about 15 minutes, and it's a little window. It's usually about 15 minutes to half an hour where I find that often I will get a high probability setup based on my
Okay.
system, which in a nutshell is just, I'm a breakout trader at heart, but I got to pick my spot. So I'm looking for mean reversion entries into a overall, longer term trend. So for example, I've been picking my spots long this week, even though I'm not sure if we're bottoming or not. But I think we have a little bit of ways up to go. So that's kind of the way I'm looking to trade. So in that time, you can often get these kind of like pivot windows I've found
Yep.
where if how I like to conceptualize it is I think about how the daily candle is going to print out, and I think about where that bottom wick on a daily candle is going to go to before it ends up going, up to my target. So by
Hmm.
trying to position myself to catch an entry long on the little bottom wick that's forming in the first half an hour or so, I found that that's my favorite time of all. But besides that, I do love power hour. That's when you kind of get the volume coming back in. So I'm
Indeed.
usually trading that opening win or not the opening after the opening window with that morning volume, and then ideally I get the one big trade, and then
Okay.
sometimes I'll get like a mean reversion trade in the afternoon, and then
Nice.
sometimes I'll enter a swing trade into that power hour.
So how do you deal with that 359 volume that comes in? Because that 359, like clockwork, sometimes it's 355, just before 4 o'clock, you will get that huge surge of volume, and then you'll get those weird wicks and, and things like that. And
Oh yeah.
I'm not always it's not always fun to see, but
No, it's the Wild West. It gets hairy. Yeah.
it
Well,
does.
it's kind of a cop out, but I will try to close my trades before big hourly flips like that.
Okay.
If I'm not sure, or if I don't think I need that volume to kind of push me the last little bit to the target. Often I look for these hourly flips as like just another kind of like that morning time range as potentially areas where you could see a flip occur. So
Okay.
because of that, I'm just a little bit extra cautious, and if anything, I'm looking for those kind of especially in this negative gamma environment. So like when we've been trading down a lot and the
Hmm.
net gamma it's above it, it creates these overshot moves to the downside and upside where your levels will kind of get overshot and wicked
Hmm.
through. You'll see less clean higher lows and more like jagged, double
Hmm.
bottoms where the second one sweeps the first out.
Hmm.
And so just knowing that, I can look to position myself maybe in those hourly flips, maybe in the morning flip that time where I can try to kind of take advantage of that volatility, which is going to be messing, ruining other traders' days.
Yeah.
So that's how I hope to be positioned in alignment with the market there, I guess.
Okay, nice, nice, nice. We're gonna see. So just to explain visually what you've been saying. So if we look, we're still looking at NQ. We'll have to run through the other assets in a few. But you were talking about looking at that daily and try to catch that bottom wick there. So it's nice
Exactly.
that my levels align with this
Mm,
right there. And then zooming in on something like the 5 minute, we're starting to get our opening range, which is neutral for the time being. We'll
mhm.
see how that continues. But when you were talking about getting sweeps, we could talk about what happened yesterday, where we were
Oh man.
inside inside that range, and then we had this level here, we swept it and reverted back, so very interesting environment for mean reversion traders. um and the volume I was talking about did not coming in at 345, 3 whatever as usual. It came in at 3 on the dot. And
That was gnarly.
yeah,
Dave,
I don't
all
know if
day.
there was news.
That was the NVIDIA
Oh, there we
conference.
go.
So
Yeah.
Jensen said, supply or demand, it's really strong. And the market was
And
like,
Mike is
yes,
like,
let's go. And
okay.
they're like, wait, this isn't very tangible.
Yeah.
So that was such a frustrating day to trade if you were a kind of momentum trader or a breakout trader. Like there was
Yeah.
multiple
Yeah.
times, both
Yep.
directions, where you thought, hey, we're finally getting the move, and it just would not play out until overnight. And so,
Indeed.
so
And then
I
overnight, we completely reversed back to the to the previous levels. We did not follow through at all. So yeah.
I do kind of love those setups though, when the market gets ahead of itself overnight on low volume, and then you're just looking there at the chart going, "Oh man, well that opening or I'm sorry, that closing range, like we just formed this nice range between yesterday's close and this high kind of on stilts place that we found ourselves at open." And often those are really nice high probability trades, and those are some of the only opening trades that I will take when it
Okay.
really does seem like we might just be ready to kind of give that overnight gain back pretty rapidly. But hey, even then, it can take that 15, 20 minutes to kind of get fully ready and lure all of the longs in or all the shorts,
Or the
whoever's
shorts.
offside.
Yeah,
Yeah.
vice versa. So very good, very good. Let me take a quick look at the chat right now. We have Daniel and Sonia Trader, our Discord mod in the house, loyal follower. Good to see you here, Daniel. I know you're probably looking at the Dow. We'll look at it in a few.
Oh yeah,
We got Nerdtendo. Oh, Nerdtendo. I
that's a great
guess.
name.
Yeah, it's cool. How you doing, Nerdtendo? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let us know where you're watching from. I see your little Nintendo icon there, so looking good. Says, does Fivers have a demo paper trading account for getting your foot wet? So right now we do not have a demo, but if you're part of our Discord, Daniel shared a link where you could get a Black Arrow demo. You could go on their website. The platform we're using is Black Arrow. Super great platform, super fast. You can, I think there's like a 2 week demo account you could use. So yeah. Oh,
This Black
so
Arrow is cool.
it's
I'm
awesome.
just learning, but there's so many bells and whistles. I'm very excited.
Indeed. Indeed, I was going through it with showing Jane the ropes live yesterday. So she was learning how to use the software while live trading.
Whoa,
Yeah, so
that's
that was fun.
See,
And
I had to check it out last night. I knew I'd panic on there. Like,
yeah,
so sometimes, do you ever do that? Like, I don't know. It's something about talking in front of a camera and doing something I've done a billion times. I just short circuit out every once in a while.
oh
So,
yeah, same here, all the time.
okay, I'm
You
glad it's not just me.
no, it's not just you. Especially the first week there when I was talking and showing things and live trading.
Mm,
Trading is stressful enough, by itself, especially when you're kind of a scalper like me. So you have to be in the
yeah.
action, monitoring the charts, etc. And then you're trying to talk at the same time and host and analyze, and it's tricky. And then on top of that, you layer a new platform. Come on,
Yeah.
it's
We were already wearing a lot of hats here, and
yeah,
it's one of the beautiful things about this job. I love how many cool things we get to do over the course of a day. It's
true.
never just one thing, but it's it's sometimes it's a lot to process, I guess.
It can be. It can be
Yeah.
definitely.
I'm
So
still keeping an eye on that pivot, by the way. That 24,700 did catch really nicely. I'm sitting here yapping. I missed it.
no,
You
it's
know, the
fine.
pitfalls of those live trades there. But you know, like I said, I'm chilling, waiting for my spot here. I've found that even if it does seem like there's like an obvious little move right out of the open, often if I'm in that, I'll be prone to kind of staying a few minutes too long in that like little scalp, even though I know it's
Hmm.
probably just a little scalp opportunity. And then I might
Yep.
miss that pristine opportunity that I was waiting for. And Dave, those are like the most frustrating days for me when I'm like, wait, but that was the one I really wanted. What am I
That's what I
doing?
really wanted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
that happens. That happens. It used to happen to me a lot, especially at the beginning. You know, you're here scalping,
Mhm.
scalping, and then the real move, as I would say, happens. You're like, man, you know, either you wasted all your bullets before that, and you're kind of beaten down because you took
Yeah.
3 losses in a row, and so indeed, something to keep in mind when you're trading. Maybe wait for the real move. Be patient, or
Mhm.
what I used to do is I would kind of try these things on a simulator. You know,
Yeah.
those like subpar trades, those little scalps. I'd try them on a simulator, and then I would, kind of wait for my real move to happen. Not always. You know, it's hard to sit on the sidelines. Like I've been itching since this morning because this was a valid
Yeah.
entry for me.
No, no.
But we'll let this run. It's fine.
But that
We'll
that discipline to be able to say, hey, like as frustrating as it might be in the moment, Dave, you've been doing this a long time. You know that it's just, you know, you missed the fish in the ocean, but you still got your fishing rod. You know,
Yeah.
the water's still there, and
Water's
just
still there.
yeah, I love it because for me that's the biggest thing, and I think for most traders that's the biggest thing. If I get in my head, I'm gonna miss great opportunities. I'm gonna take some really questionable ones. It's gonna be bad news bears, you know. But if I
Yep.
can just stay, just it doesn't have to be like, you know, I don't have to be, you know, just whistling a happy tune to myself 24/7. But you know, just a good enough mood that like a good enough mentality that I'm not like constantly burning fuel on things that don't serve my goals, you know? So
Indeed.
for me,
Indeed.
the rumination. So that's the name of the game for me. Just getting the mental game right, and you know,
Yep,
tough
indeed.
stuff.
The mental game is the hardest part of this game, if we want to, for lack of a better term.
Hmm.
Once you find your stride, you kind of know, okay, this is what works for me. That discipline is hard. I gotta say, it's very hard for me. Public accountability is helping. I have to say. I've decided, I don't know if I told you, but Samir, who trades with me on Mondays, his numbers told him to only take one trade a day. That's what he does. He
Hmm.
doesn't trade on Tuesdays, and it's been doing good. He's up 13%, I think this month. So that's
Beautiful.
great. He's a great trader. Um,
And sometimes less is
so
more like that, huh?
less is definitely more. And I used to deal with over trading a lot.
Mm. Oh yeah.
So I was like, you know what? For the live, what we're gonna do is only take 2 trades, no matter what, and it helps because I know, okay, I only have two bullets to fire today, so I better make them count.
Right. Well, when you're not just grabbing everything in front of you,
Yep,
all of a sudden you really think about what it is that sounds the best, you know? And for
exactly.
for me, it's that high probability setup like you're talking about. And I found that if we're patient, we do usually get one or two of those, like I don't want to say slam dunks, let's call them 75% chances, you know?
Yeah,
Hey, we
that's
can
true.
work with that. You know, we can work with
We can
75%
definitely,
all day long. If we're right half the time, you know, that's still good.
definitely. That is
And so
still good.
you notice that, see that spot we're selling off from, just that big red candle from, let's see, from 842 there, that
Hmm.
kind of formed, it just caught us.
It
So
did.
to me, that range, I'm still just watching that range and it doesn't look like it's ready to flip yet, to break on out.
Not yet. We're gonna look. Maybe we'll have some break and retests. I mean, to me, if you're trading opening range breakouts, based on those 15 first minutes, I think a great setup is when you can break out of the range, retest it. Let's say you're going on the
Yeah.
upside. So, way to illustrate it would be you kind of break, out of there, move up maybe, I don't know, some 20, 25 points, pull back, and then get that real impulse to the up or downside. To me, these are great setups. So we'll see what we could get into today. I'm just marking out this opening range for whoever trades opening range breakouts. And then when we take the breakout, what I was talking about, when you're shooting for one-to-ones, um, usually I'll try, let's say if we mark it out there, if you are entering here, you'll be
Mhm.
shooting for kind of a
Oh
profit there.
yeah,
And if you're doing it on the downside, same thing. So it's easy to measure. And the other thing it does, and I showed that yesterday, is if for example, you break out of the range, you test this level, pull back, you enter here, and you're still hesitating, you're not really pushing through that mid range there of the opening range. Well, that's a sign that we might
yeah.
not continue and get that one-to-one, and we might revert back. So
Oh dude, I
it gives
love
you
it.
some good reference points on how to take your trades. I'm a very very visual guy. I used to work in
Mm.
advertising back in the day, so yeah, visually it gives you some good reference points. And you can
Way
see
to
right
high
now
points.
we reverted back where yes, we're at this level, which is one check. The second check is we're at the 50% of the opening range. We reverted back there, so it tells me that we're still trying to find our stride here.
I love this so much. You're just like connecting. I love that when like I get those synapses firing and different ideas from different traders start meshing together. And for me, I just got a big one there. I just think yeah, decent little bounce there. I think that we
Yep.
overcomplicate so many things in the market. And I learned this measured move thing from an OG. He's been doing futures trading in particular for going on 20 years now. This guy's a
Nice.
dinosaur. He's awesome. But he always does these measured moves. He's like, well, I think about it in like regimes or like zones. It's like,
Uh-huh.
all right, we're in this range
Uh-huh.
and it can break a little bit above. If it's real, we'll see volume through it and it'll go for that double of the move. Will it get there? Not always. We look
Yeah,
at the 50% way of the way through. We look at the quarter marks through just to kind of gauge, the strength as we negotiate a new range. But it's
exactly.
it's it's really can just be as simple as double the size of the range. Let's go and check that out up there, and then let's
Yep.
see if we find sellers. And it looks like we are getting that opening range here. And so we can check and see if we get a little entry on the back test here. I'm
Let's try. Let's try. I already entered here. Just because we've been talking about it and we're breaking out of the range, we got to pull back to the 50%. So we'll see if that trade works. And if we get, the one-to-one we'll be talking about, it would be great. If not, then we'll find another setup. And I
yeah,
see, I got your screen there. So let me know if you want me to pull it up.
sure. I'm waiting. Okay, I did just get filled. It's just a one lot. It's a little tester. I'm putting my stop under
That's
that
fine.
previous low there.
All right, I
And
got you.
and I'm gonna keep this is a little bit wide of a stop, but I'm still kind of getting a feel for this account size and just everything. So I'm going. I'm gonna just gonna be trading single lots today.
No,
Nice
it's
and easy.
fine. Hey, that's what I've been trading the whole time. And, the topic of the week is trading war volatility. And one advice I gave to all the traders, I did a webinar on Discord saying that one of the things you want to do when things get elevated is reduce your size, right?
Yes, sir.
And I've been trading single lots, double lots, once or twice, and then maybe if you're somebody who trades the full contract, so the NQ, you could go down and trade the micros.
Mhm.
So we'll see what happens today, but I think trading smaller is good. It helps on the mental side as well. So yeah,
Absolutely.
I totally agree there. I see some more comments coming in. Let me see. 1 second.
A little heavier
So he
than I would
says,
really like here. Sorry to cut you off, but I'm just keeping an
no,
eye
it's
on it. It
fine.
still seems okay to me, but I want to see some continuation through there, just in case we might have got one of those little peak aboves and still not quite ready. But it is the right timing,
Indeed.
so I wanted to give it a shot.
We'll see. Well, same here. We have a similar trade on. So we'll see. We'll either both be wrong or both be right. My stop should probably be a little bit lower below that wick. So I'll move it there. and we'll see what happens. So Butterkeeper says, "Hey guys, good short today. Been shorting since London session. Quite tough holding short till pre-market." Hey,
Yeah.
Butterkeeper,
Great call.
awesome man. You've you've been getting your butter there, for lack of a better
Yeah,
term,
I
because
love it.
yes, that was an awesome short. We're talking about 300 points from peak to bottom,
Wow.
I think. Yeah, 330, 40, yeah, 340 points. So if you caught any part of that, then good on you. Good on you. Looks
Yeah,
like we're gonna get,
wow.
yeah,
It's quite a move. I just had to zoom out to really get the scale of it because I went to sleep up here. I closed my last one. I was up yeah, about 300 on the session, and I was like, this was really good overnight trading. I don't want to push my luck. I was
yeah.
thinking, do I want to leave one of those runners, let it cook overnight? I was like, I don't know. I want to get some sleep. I'm glad I did.
Indeed, indeed, indeed.
That's the nice thing about futures, that you don't have to have you don't have to trust these markets too much. You can
Yep,
take your piece and get on out.
yep. And
I'd like
let's
a higher low
see.
here on SPY. I'm not going to add, but in theory, this higher low would probably be a little bit. I kind of played the initial back test, and that was maybe a little greedy. Often things aren't quite as neat and tidy as I'd like. I'd
Yep,
love the back test to the 1 penny and then off to the races, but sometimes they got to make you work for it. So I'm
we'll
uh
see.
I'm working on my equanimity. Hey, if I don't have a perfect entry, but hey, it hasn't stopped me out, it hasn't invalidated. Let the cards fall where they may.
Let the cards fall where they may. Exactly. So
Easier
we'll
said than
see.
done, of course,
We'll
but
see. Easier said than done. That's true. We'll see what happens there. Like you said, a little bit, a lot of hesitation there on that initial move, but maybe those buyers will step in and we'll revert higher. If not, we'll be wrong, and then we'll find another move.
if
Um,
not, then I've paid my tribute to the market gods into FOMC. They took my stop. I'm not gonna force it, and I'm gonna respect what the market's telling me, which is, hey, maybe it's not the best day to trade in the morning here with FOMC, with Vixpiration, with all of these things, with a big sell like this. I'm really not sure exactly how things are going to pan out. I'll be the first to
yep.
admit that.
Yeah,
And
we don't know. We don't know. We don't know what they're gonna decide. What they are gonna, if they're gonna decide to raise rates, like Jaden was saying, are they gonna maintain rates? What we've seen is inflation is, still running a little hot. We're not reaching those target levels yet. Now we have the backdrop of war going on, so
Mhm.
we don't know. We'll see what they decide, and then we have a new Fed coming in soon. So there's just a lot going on. That's what I've
It's
been
gonna be
saying.
spicy.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like I know the high probability move, and I don't know. So if ever I find myself scratching my head going, I don't know. Well, hey, that's a great time to sit in cash and wait till I do know. So
Exactly.
it
Exactly.
does sometimes
Exactly.
no trade is a trade.
No trade is it, and sometimes no trade is the best trade. Not to sound cliche, but
So true. So true.
cliches exist for a reason.
Yeah, yeah,
So
dude, that I always say that. We're on the same wavelength. It's like, hey, if people have been saying this for decades, maybe they're onto something. Maybe
yep,
maybe it's cliche for a reason. And
exactly.
okay, all right. So here's the equanimity coming in. Market rewards this. All right, okay. And here's the ego coming in. I say something. I mention a bounce, and now the red candle. All right, that's
Yep.
fair market. That's fairness to market.
They're like,
I
hey,
will.
what are you talking about, Steve?
I'll
we're
shut up and
just
let it
we're
play out.
just yeah, exactly. All right. So we have Stuart saying, got called away, need to go. Oh, no problem, Stuart.
Thanks for
We'll
joining.
see you soon. Thanks for, tuning in as usual, all the way from Spain.
Oh wow, you
Yeah,
guys got
Stuart
quite
is
the
in
reach.
Spain. We have, yeah, people from all over. The other day it was, the United Nations there. We had people from India, we had people from China, people from the US, of course,
Love it.
many people all around Europe. So it was quite nice. It's quite nice to have people watching from everywhere. So
Totally. Yeah, one big
let's
community. Great to see.
one huge community. Yes, indeed. Now, apart from, because the topic of the week is trading war volatility, apart from reducing size, I know Jane recommended not holding things overnight if they don't make sense because things can flip on you.
Hmm.
I don't know if you have anything else, any other recommendations that come to mind. We already spoke about trading while there's news going on.
Hmm.
And for example, I know when was it? I think it was on the 10th. There was this U.S. official that made a tweet regarding the Strait of Hormuz, and oil just went down and completely reversed up.
Hmm.
So it might not be recommended to trade while news is happening.
It's
When volatility
spicy,
is high
right?
like that. Yeah,
Well, I think that's great advice that Jane gave, and that you mentioned in general. What I would kind of just add to that is, especially going into weekends, I have
Mhm.
been reducing my swing positions by a sizable amount.
Got it.
I'm still taking at bats, but
Mhm.
like I said, I'm sizing down, and I'll be honest, I'm taking stops. I'm taking stops, but I'm keeping my core hedges on. So the name of the game for me is, hey, you know what? My core positions that I like, they might get beat up a little bit. That's what I paid the hedges for, to be my bodyguards, right? So I'll
Got it.
monetize those hedges, and that'll give me some more powder to buy on those longer term and swing accounts. And then I can really keep my head in the game and focus on trading the volatility in these short term accounts,
Got
because
it.
if I got the hedge on, then I can chill. If
Yeah.
I've got a little bit of oil positions on going into the weekend, I can feel a little better and I can hope in size and hope for them to be down on Monday. But hey, if they're not, well, that's my ballast, to keep me afloat if things get choppy for a while and has,
Okay.
testy.
So in summary, you're having these hedges on top of reducing your size, to kind of keep your head and your blood pressure balanced.
Yeah, I always say like there's some trades that just they give me heartburn. I just like every
Yep.
morning I look at them, there's just torture in me between a range, and well, they're not invalid, but they're not doing what I want either. Rocket Lab's a good
Indeed.
example. I'll pull that up real quick.
Woo.
Rocket Lab. Oh wait, I don't know if I can pull up
I
charts on
don't
some.
know if you're gonna be able to pull
Never
it
mind.
up here, but
I should be
I
watching me
can
getting
I
stopped
can
out here
just
probably too.
no, fine. It's fine. Let me pull it up on my screen because I have a long history with Rocket. It's
Oh,
RKT, right?
oh, sorry, Rocket Lab,
Oh,
RKLB. But
RKLB.
RKT is
Sorry.
another perfect example,
Yeah,
one that
sorry.
will
I
do
was
that
thinking
to
of
you.
Rocket Mortgage.
You have the same PTSD I
Uh,
do. That one will do it to you. Um,
RKLB. Give me one sec. Let me pull that up.
oh
Um,
yeah, no rush. I can also navigate over. I'm just being lazy. I'm used
no,
to
it's
having
fine.
to do all the
It's fine. It's
screens.
fine. It's fine. No,
Look at that.
let me practice. Yeah, RKLB. Huh, look at that. I have the daily chart pulled up right there.
I've been buying under 70 for what feels like years now. And I
And
thought we got
sometimes
the
5
breakout, and
minutes
then they
feels like a
diluted
year.
on me.
Wow. Yeah.
So, that's not war related, but it is just random volatility related where what?
Mhm.
If it would feel better if I had just closed out at the end of the day and waited for that pivot to try again, take the day
Yep.
trade and
Indeed.
I do like turning day trades into potential swings if I catch a nice little entry. Say for example, oh look at that. Getting aired out.
On
That's okay.
huh. Yep. Yeah, so yeah, yes indeed. It's kind of frustrating. You see the thing, taking off on you and then completely revert back. But yeah, Rocket Mortgage was the one for me back in the day that I had this, and I was trading options on top of that, so I had no
Mhm.
business doing it. Um RKT.
It's so tempting with the options.
Haven't looked at it in 3 years, I think.
Probably, probably was.
Yeah,
Some
look at
there's
my
some tickers that are on
1950 level still
that.
there.
Yeah, yeah. 8 years later, that's the funniest thing. I'll put a chart on my no trade list, and then it'll find its way back to me a year or two later. And my old
Yep.
levels will still just be playing off of it. It's still in the same pain zone. That's too
Man,
funny.
yeah, it was traumatizing for me. I think
Oh no.
I have. You see, I still even have my notes. Institution. I was doing research on it. Institutional buying from from October 6th to December 14th. There you go.
Yeah.
So that was in December. Yeah, that was in 2020, right? And I think I bought it somewhere around here in those 1950s. That's why I have the green level.
Yeah.
And I was looking for I think it happened 3 days before I exited There you go. I
No.
exited right here in the 20s, and then it went parabolic 3 days after and went
Oh man.
from 1950 to like 43. I was like, all right, I'm
Man,
never touching this again.
we all have those tickers that have done that to us where it's just like personal. Like that is a personal affront, you know? And
Yes,
I feel for you, Dave. And the thing is that
indeed.
when you see enough looks, when you know you trade enough stocks, there's gonna be some ones that stand out as real FUs, you know, like where
Yep,
the market is just like, what? You're like, come on, that felt entirely targeted. But
that is true.
it's just a matter of seeing so many different situations. I was just telling my sister she wants to learn how to ride a motorcycle, and she's
Nice.
yeah, I think it's super cool. But I just tell her like, you know, we're in the city. It doesn't matter how good you are. You know, it's about you know other kind of unforeseen things that you can't control that are out of your control. And I feel like
Indeed.
that kind of applies to trading a lot. So like, you know, there's things we can do to mitigate the danger, but you know, you do gotta expose yourself to risk to live life. So I don't
That's
know.
yeah.
I probably had a more coherent point. I'm here watching the
No,
things that
it's
will not be
fine.
named start to
It's playing with our feelings. It's playing with our
exactly.
feelings. So yeah, I accidentally fat fingered my my position. So
Uh-oh.
I got stopped out. I'll maybe pull it up. I got stopped out of my my long, and because my stop was maybe slightly higher than yours, let me put it
Hey,
there.
I was
And
thinking I
then
was gonna get stopped out, to be
and
honest,
then
because I put it over that pivot. Sorry.
yeah, no, you can say what you're gonna say.
Oh, that's it. I was just thinking, you know, hey, maybe I'm a little bit too greedy, and might still be here. Look at that. Oh man. So
Yeah, it's
it's
playing
a
with our
torture trade.
feelings.
So this is when a trade's doing this to me. Sometimes it means, hey, you weathered the storm and now it's about to turn your way. Sometimes it just means that the idea isn't working and it's a bad,
Yep.
you know, low
Low,
success rate type environment. Like would
low,
kind of
yeah.
make sense. So,
Which
but
does,
it's
yeah.
a big green candle now. I'm not even excited because I don't trust it. You know,
I
I
don't
don't.
trust it on the upside or nor the downside. So today, this is a great example. We're gonna find out because you're long, I'm short at around the same, around the
Okay.
same area. So we'll find out what happens. Where are we both wrong? Are we both right? Whatever happens happens here. But
I love this. We're hedging our bets, so we're definitely going to have a winner, and that's what matters. You know,
yeah,
I just want both sides to have a good time. You know, that's so
yeah,
I like this. We're hedging our bets, emotional hedging, and what really matters for me is that yeah, it's a little less relevant today because the market is doing weird things in the morning. But if an idea stops me out, I just paid for information. Sure, I would
exactly.
rather get paid, but you know, if I have to pay for information to inform my next trade, so be it. You know, we're in the
Yep.
detective game here, so to speak.
Yep, that's true. I've told that's something actually I do sometimes, depending on the setup. I'll have a
Mhm.
long idea, and depending on how the price action looks, I'll enter short, right?
Yeah.
Instead of going long, and that will be a check in my favor where, okay, if my short starts working and
Mm.
then it stops working, it's a check in my favor to say, okay, my long idea is right.
I
But
like that. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
do that sometimes.
Okay.
I'll enter counter what I want to do. And it came from, I don't know if I mentioned that to you. It came from this thing I saw of a
All right,
guy
I'm
who
out.
used to teach. Okay,
I'm
I'm
out.
still
That's
in.
enough
All
pain
right.
for me.
I'll pull up my screen. Give me one sec. I'm still
And
in, but we don't know. We're gonna find out whether I'm right or wrong.
well, you might be getting that kind of look where in the first half an hour we're forming that top wick, and now we can expand down. I'm praying for you. I'm hoping you get the move because it's always frustrating when I get stopped out, then you get stopped out, and we're both sitting here going, "What's going on?" You know. So let's get a nice follow through for Dave
We'll
here.
see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
I'm
Maybe
watching this
they go
24/7
catch some
700.
liquidity down there. We'll see what happens. But I was saying this morning. Well, I'll finish the first point first. It was this old trading guru who didn't really know how to trade, but who trained a very successful trader. I'm not gonna mention his name. And the trading guru. met with the guy later, and the guy was like, "Man, I realize now you had no idea what you were doing. How did you, make so many good trades?" And he was like, "Man, I just traded the opposite of all you guys, all the students. That was the indicator for him.
That's hilarious.
Beginners usually lose." So he was like, if these guys are doing that, I just need to do the opposite, and he would be right most of the time. So that's
That's
how
so funny.
he was profitable. But anyways, we'll
We're
see. But
getting the
yeah,
torture ball. They're making it hard for both of us here, you
yep,
know?
yep.
It
I
it
mentioned it
just
this
goes to
morning.
show.
I mentioned it this morning. I was like, you know what, guys? What might happen is we break out of this down move, and then we go test these levels, go back down, maybe test this area there, and then we sell again here and there and here and here, and do not develop any kind of trend before the meeting. So it's
Yeah.
entirely possible that we both get stopped out. We'll
You
see.
know, there's that, and then there's also the possibility. What you see a lot on these FOMC days is a range is set that seems violent and drastic as it's being set. The move
Mhm.
will drive up. You'll be like, "Oh my goodness, that's the low forever," and then it'll reject, and you're like, "Just kidding, we're going to zero." And
Indeed.
at the end of the day, it'll close like I call it violently flat. Like somewhere close to the opening price, but the way it got there it'd make you queasy.
Yep.
If you have leverage. So I think that it's one of those scenarios where you got to put on your BS detector hat and think what could mess up the most amount of people. What could really clear the books, shake people. I think of it like the market makers. They're kind of like a bully. They're like shaking you, turning you upside down and shaking your lunch money out of your pocket sometimes.
Yep. Yep.
And
That's true. That's
it's
true.
totally fair to say, hey, all right. So by the way, I wanted to mention I wouldn't have taken that trade if I didn't have some cushion. And that's why I'm okay
Yeah.
losing some money because you know what? Part of it, I'm in it for the love of the game. We're here, we're trading live. It's more fun with some skin in the game. But realistically speaking, I can give back 1/3 of my profits every day and be okay with that because that's saying, hey, I made this much money. I'm willing to risk not all of it, but some of it to
Some of it.
potentially compound. And if I'm wrong, well, that's a sign for me to slow down. You know,
Yep.
what made me
Yep.
the 300 wasn't working anymore. So now I'll chill and I'll say, all right, okay, all right.
Yeah.
That's if it's fair is fair, right? Two steps forward, one step back. That's how.
Exactly. That's ideally what we want to do is be taking more steps forward than steps back,
Mhm,
and goes back to what we were talking about, the discipline.
mhm,
You what's tough is when, especially at the beginning, when you're taking two steps forward and five steps back, and then one step forward and three
mhm.
steps back, and then you take five steps forward and 10 steps back. So
Oh man,
that's
yeah, those
uh that's
10
where it
steps
gets
back days,
tricky.
they make
Oh
you
man.
want to quit, but
Yeah.
it's all about Michael and Kevin both talk about this a lot. Oh man, market's so strong without me. Anyways, well, but what do they talk about? Oh, it'll come back to me. Sorry, I'm sitting
It's
here
fine. It's
watching
fine. It's
candles.
fine. I'm gonna, while this is going on, since we haven't touched on gold and
Yeah,
oil, I just wanna,
absolutely.
and we'll hear. Well, actually, maybe I'll let it show when it stops me out.
Hey, this
But
is this is the this is what you get though. You get the
yep,
real deal. And this is what a lot of people, especially in this space, they won't show you. They won't tell you the unfun parts this is what real trading is like, unfortunately. It's a lot of stops
indeed.
and it's a lot of what I was gonna say that Kevin talks about a lot is we're allowed to have three types of trades. We'll have the small wins, those are great. Base hits are
Hmm.
good. Small losses, hey, it's part of the process. Big wins, they are a side effect of the process. Every once in a
Yep,
while, a big winner will come through, and that's where we make a lot of our money. The
indeed.
only way we can really mess this up is if we let those losses get to become big too. So that's
Yeah,
the only thing we're not allowed. It's okay to be wrong, but it's not okay to stay wrong.
exactly.
So, you're talking about managing your risk. I manage my risk. At the end of the day, one of us is going to say, not say, but one of us could say, I sure wish I didn't use stops today. It would have worked better. But if we did it 100 times, that's never the answer.
That is
So
never the answer. Yeah.
yeah, trying to
So yeah,
separate yourself from the outcome has been big for me at least.
that is true. That is entirely true. So speaking of stops, yesterday I touched on that briefly. I don't know if you do that a lot, but I will very frequently, especially when I'm, scalping like that and day trading, move my stops to break even because, of course. before when the price displaced, let's say, to about half of where my take profit is, I will move my stop to break even, because it to me it's at a point where, hey, if the thing is going to work, it's going to work. I'm
Yeah.
usually not waiting for a pullback. So
Mhm.
my opinion is I'd rather it be a scratch trade, or a break even trade, or a very very small loser, than to let a winner turn into a loser. I know a lot of traders advise against that, against moving stops, but it's worked for me, and my data says otherwise. So I don't know what's your opinion on that.
I think it's a great topic, and I don't think that it's as simple as saying this is right, this is wrong.
Yeah.
I think that Dave, like what you're talking about, this is what the actual meat and potatoes of trading is. It's figuring out what works for you, and it's
Yep.
not a one size fits all type thing, because it's about our personalities. Because when we're trading the charts, we're not really trading against institutions and market makers. Like, yeah, we are, but what we're trading against is ourself and our own
Yeah.
discipline and our own rules, right? So I'm totally with you. Here's how I look at it. So I don't think that you should trade your profit and loss. I think that you should
No, you
trade
shouldn't be
your
trading your
a
P&L.
position in general. But at the end of the day, we're here to make money. And what the big thing for me is that risk reward is adaptable. And by that I mean, if I enter a trade and it's a 5-to-1 risk reward, if I bottom tick snipe this higher low, off the fair value gap, imbalance, whatever the heck, you 10 buzzwords to make me feel good
Yeah,
about myself and my
there
trade,
you go.
if I like really nail that and it starts to work and I'm up three, magnitudes to my risk, I don't get to say, well, it's a 5-to-1 trade if it breaks out the top of the range. So I'm going to either stop out for that small stop, or I'm going to, get this big move. I just got three, reward to the risk that I put up. I need to manage risk into that. And I'm not going to even mention it because I want it to work for you. But we have more testing of this range and more just torture ball here. So
No, it's
it's
fine. It's gonna do what it does. I'm just gonna let
exactly.
this do whatever it does. The only thing I'm gonna do is, and that's why I touched on moving your stop to break even and whatever, is it, as if it does, of course, if it does, as it starts to move back in my favor, I will gradually make my stop smaller,
Mhm.
because my expectation is, because we're in a range, we might see some you know interesting behavior, where the price moves and we see buyers around those, that's a round number, that's 24,900.
Yeah.
um we might see some buyers here in this area here. I have a support level right there, so if might take profit, for it to make sense, for it to be the 2-to-1 trade is lower, and maybe I should even be targeting those 700s all the way down there. But the reality is, if this moves down to here and doesn't move decisively, and we're hesitating, whatever, I'm not going to wait for the price to do this and then revert
Yes.
back and then
Perfect.
go, form our initial long idea. I'll
I
just
love
get stopped out, break even. There's
well,
no point of me waiting and taking a loss where I was in profit there. Maybe I won't take the profit and let the trade develop, but I'd rather get stopped out, break even, and take a smaller loss than or a smaller win, than risk the thing going back. Our job as traders is to manage risk. So as long as we keep the risk small, the profits will take care of themselves. So yeah, that's my point there.
oh man, it's all such good stuff. I just get so excited when you say it. I have to stop myself from jumping in, and cutting
No,
out because
go ahead, please do.
these are such great concepts. You're a pro because you're bringing up really good things that are applicable in wide varieties of situations that really just apply quite frequently. So when we're trading such fast charts, right? Like we're on 1 minute charts here. This isn't the same as like my, laid back hourly analysis and
No.
candle analysis where I can say, all right, well, it can come down 1% and still be within this candle range. It's still, the thesis is still playing out for in a week, this thing to be higher. We don't have that luxury here. And like you said, I'm not going to wait for it to like, I loved that you were saying if we don't get velocity in the move down, if it kind of just meanders down to that range, you're not going to sit around there and ignore that sign of relative strength. You're not going to
Exactly.
ignore that. You're going to say, "Hey, I got a little bit of a move. I can pocket this and wait." And like you were saying, maybe you should target lower. I personally love that because for me, if we do get the move down, we're looking pretty good right now,
So far, so
and
good.
it's definitive with this volume, like, or the velocity that we're seeing. Well, then it should want to sweep that low. And you're
Indeed.
saying, hey, maybe it goes lower. Well, yeah, who knows? We don't know, but we do know it probably wants to sweep it. That looks like a good area to capture that wick down to sweep it. And hey, you know what? You can get out there. It can wick back up to the bottom of the that initial low. If it's weak,
Hmm.
it'll reject there. You get another entry. You know,
Yep.
and that's what I love to do, like to kind of free roll a little spot. If I trade the momentum, and I'm like, all right, I think the move's going to go further down, but I'm going to take this first initial impulse move. Well, what goes up must come down at least a little bit. There's going to be that oscillation, and in that oscillation, that dead cat, that mean reversion back, you can secure a second little entry. And this is
Yep.
what I call like a responsible double dipping.
I
Like,
like that. Responsible double dipping.
yeah. Like, because I don't think it's good to add to zero DTE or like intraday positions unless it's part of like a real strategy. Like, okay, for example, on that first red candle of this kind of little impulse run we've had for
Yeah,
five
that
10 minutes,
there.
if you saw that little head bonk at the top of the range and you had an inkling and you're good at tape reading, you saw that the selling volume come in and that pressure start to flip, you can take a little nibble there with a really tight stop over the high of the day. And then
Yep.
if you get the move down and it breaks range, then ideally you get a trim off as it breaks range. That's my system. And then it comes back into the range and starts getting
Hmm.
weak again. Well, often that'll be a time where maybe a moving average is coming down and you're going to have some confluence between signals, and you can just kind of juice that momentum trade, and now it's like a new signal entry to kind of pyramid in. So
Yep.
that's what I always like to see and look for here. There's the sweep of that 24,700 on NQ. So that
So
is
just quick question because we're getting
Mhm.
different numbers. I think you're on the March contract, right? You're on
A
NQH6.
NQH6 is
Yeah,
the
you're on
code
the
here. I
current
got
contract. I'm
MNQ.
using the I'm
Oh,
using the
M.
next one
Yeah,
because
let me
we're
get on your level here.
it's fine.
So that's
We're
that's a great question. So I'm getting back into futures trading after about a 4 month hiatus, and I'm like, of course, doing it right at the roll time. So remind me, what's the rule of thumb for what contract we should probably be using? Is it just the highest volume?
yeah, highest volume. And well, the thing is, yesterday I just watch. So the contract flip is Friday the 20th.
Mhm.
But I usually use TradingView as a guide because you have, and I was showing that to the users. Let me see
Oh yeah.
here. We have the contracts there highlighted, and it tells you, the on the 17th. We're going from, well, which was yesterday. We're going from the H contract to the M contract, which is June. So yesterday caught me off guard, but I should have changed contracts. And yesterday, Jane and I were getting different numbers. I was like, "What's going on?" I
Uh,
started talking about a bunch of other things, like, no, the price is cash settled, blah blah blah. And I realized that, hey, you should just switch contracts. So
just one of
so
those
yeah,
intricacies that if you don't think about it, it can mess you up for sure. A lot of people
exactly.
coming from shares, they don't even realize, like, it can be kind of scary. It's like, contracts. Am I buying options? I don't want to be gambling. It's like, no, no, no. This is good. You can define your risk very easily. It's a long
Yeah.
contract. You're not going to be holding
Yeah.
this when it expires. I hope.
So yeah, expiry is Friday. So the easiest way to do it is just, I know everybody uses TradingView, so just go to TradingView, look at those little icons there, and when you get to that point, or maybe a day before, you switch the contract because you're gonna see the volume's gonna defer.
Good
So
stuff. Good stuff.
yep.
Just popping
Now
around the market, taking a look at oil, relatively strong. It's not really what
let's
bear or
look
sorry,
at
what
oil.
market bulls want to see. So I guess it's what you want to see, right? To me, it looks like we're kind of back testing that range and see. To me, how I frame this is, all right, are we going to play the game of failed auction down, failed breakdown, and then we can rip into that range that we kind of formed within the
Hmm.
pre-market, or are we still a little bit high up here, and do we still need to kind of retest that range that we kind of broke down from and just say, hey, no, we need to air it out a little bit more. Let's move it on down. Maybe we get that measured move that you were talking about. That'd be nice. nice to pay the traders for their time here in the morning session. But at the same
Yep.
time, I don't know if the market will reward trading trading I call this garbage time. I just call it garbage time. I don't know what's going to happen. It's time to take the trash out, you know.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll have we'll either, try to catch and get out of the trade once it hits, this area down there. Or we will, if it does continue to work and gets close to my TP area, I will close it. Sometimes I have time stops,
I
and
like
I'll
time.
get out of a trade, because it's based on how long I've been in the trade and whatever, and what I've usually see, it should I should be seeing follow throughs, and if I don't
Right.
see it, then it's time to get out.
Well, Dave, I love that because it quantifies something that often traders just kind of subconsciously pick up on. They just get like an icky feeling. They're just like, why isn't it
Yeah,
doing the thing? What's
yeah,
wrong? Why is it feels sick. Something's not
yeah,
acting right, and you can't quantify it because, well, it's over my stop. It's under my take profit. I should be in the trade, right? Well, if it's not working, it's not working, you know?
exactly.
And the thing that I've really told or learned to trust in myself over the years. And it's taken some years to develop, but I think
Mhm.
that if you've been trading a while, you should do this. It's trust how don't just trust every emotion you feel, but if you're in a trade and you're starting to build like a repository of like, just little hints, either bullish,
Mhm.
bearish, kind of building your case as you're in the position. If the weight of the evidence overall just gives you a bad feeling and you're like, often I will find myself going, honestly, I don't think this is really working that well. I
Yep.
wouldn't take this trade right now. Things have changed, and I don't really want it to admit it myself, but I've kind of shifted the goalpost.
Uh-huh.
Honestly, it saved me so much money to just say I'm a little off sides. I think
Yeah.
maybe I might get caught flat-footed. Get the crossover on me there. It's so much easier. Almost always when I feel like that, it's the trade's just starting to not work. I could take a usually it's like a $5 to $20 loss in the amount
Yeah.
of times I've felt it's not working and I'm down $5 to $20, and then I just say, well, we'll let it give it a lead.
And
Well,
we'll
then I
find out.
book a $50 to $100 loss almost every time.
Yeah.
It's like why do I
Yeah.
do that? I could just be compounding that instead of giving
That
it back.
exactly. Whatever the amount is in dollar terms, it doesn't. It's like you're saying. If you, it brings the cliche. Speaking of cliches, it brings the cliche back up. Once in doubt, get out. I mean,
I
you're
like
if you're not confident about the cliche and that, I'm sorry, confident about the trade, and that's why the cliche exists. You're doubting your trade. Hey,
it.
dude, get out.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I think trading is such a weird job. It's like you're just like, all right, would you like to sign up to wake up at 6 o'clock every morning and get psyoped by large institutional money, just consistently messing with your head? You're like, yeah, that sounds like a good way to make a living. It takes. I grew up in a family of a lot of farmers, and we always said, like
Okay.
it takes a contrarian to be a farmer. Like the weather's against you, big farms are
Oof.
against you, the government's against you. Sometimes it feels like God's against you.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like everything's against you.
Well, in that
So,
industry, when something bad happens that you can't foresee, it's literally called an act of God. It's like built into the contracts of farmers and stuff. So you know what? Sometimes there are acts of God in trading, acts
yep,
of Trump more often than not with his
there you
tweets.
go. Yeah,
But
those tweets, man, it's
but
crazy.
I always think of it's an old Boondocks quote, but they were riffing off of, I think it's a Rumsfeld quote. It's like
Okay.
there are things that we can anticipate, and those
Hmm.
are those are known unknowns. We don't know if this is
Yeah,
going to happen, but we can game plan it. But then there are unknown unknowns,
yeah.
or black swans, and that's what
Kind of
annoys
like,
me.
yeah, I was saying, kind of like Gray Rhino versus Black Swan.
Oh, what's a gray rhino? I
So
like
the
that.
gray rhino is like, so the black swan is something that completely catches you off guard. You don't know about it and whatever. A
Mhm.
gray rhino, and I'm probably gonna have to look at the definition to have it specifically right. It's like you kind of know it's gonna happen, and
Yeah,
you should be mitigating it, but you don't, and it still happens. Kind of like you were saying with the trade earlier. You're like, this is not gonna work out. I should probably get out. And then you don't, and then
Mhm.
you don't get out and you get stopped out and you get stopped out for way more than you could have had you gotten
Mhm.
out. So yeah, they speak
That's
on
great.
those gray rhino situations. I learned the term recently. I was like gray rhino. I knew black swan, but not
Right, I was thinking
gray
like
rhino.
white
Yeah.
elephant. Is this like a gift exchange or like no? Okay, isn't that what it's called, white elephant, when you trade gifts like random gifts? That was the first thing that
I,
popped in my mind. Um,
white elephant. I don't know. I don't know. I have elephant in the room that's popping in my head.
oh, that too, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna form a
What
zoo
what
today. Rhinos and swans and elephants.
oh my. What I have a different name for that. I call it have you watched Arrested Development by chance?
uh, I know of the show, but I haven't watched
Okay.
it.
So
Yeah,
I'll be annoying and drop a reference that you won't get, but somebody
go.
will. There's a scene. One of them's a magician, and like he had a mishap with one of his doves, so it's in the fridge like a bag, like dead dove, do not eat. And somebody like sees that, they're like, what the heck? And they open it. It's like exactly what you expected. So I
Exactly
call
what
those
you'd
dead
expected.
dove
Wow.
moments. It's like, I don't,
Yeah,
okay, if it looked bad and I felt bad and I was complaining about it while I was in the trade, and then it breaks down, it's like, well, what was I expecting? You know.
that's
Speaking
true.
of
That's
breaking
true.
down, and this looks really good for you, by the way.
Let me
I'm
pull up
looking
my
heavy.
screen. Oh, it's fine.
So I just real quickly,
Um,
I'm still learning all of the drawing tools, but just we got the top zone pretty defined here. We got the bottom zone. Looks to
yep.
me like just getting kind of hammered. This little, area with these wicks, kind of like a little pivot zone previously. To me, it
Mhm.
looks like it's under assault here. One thing I need to figure out is how to get some space on the right side of my candles. I feel so claustrophobic in this
It's
corner.
fine. Let's just do the quick tutorial there for you, like I
Oh,
did for Jane. So you're gonna go to your chart. You're gonna right click on the chart.
okay.
I can't see your
Oh
menus.
no, that's unfortunate. I'm in the menu though.
Okay, let me just do it on mine so I could see. So when you right click, you have chart and then settings on the top left corner.
Okay, I'm in.
So you click on settings and then you go to all the way at the bottom, more settings, uh,
Oh, that's what I was
middle
missing.
bottom.
Oh, my hero.
My
Okay.
hero.
But now I'm gonna be overwhelmed.
Um,
So.
and then there, I can't remember where it is. I think it's in appearance.
Appearance. Okay, yeah, that looks like a good. Oh yeah, it's gonna be in here, I bet. And then probably like, oh, I always forget. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm distracting you. I'll figure
No,
this
it's
out
fine.
on my own time.
We're moving
Definitely feel free to
down.
watch your trade
We're
because it is
moving
working.
lower. Yeah, it's working. I'm getting increased volume. So now, for example, let me put up my screen. Now is where it makes sense for me to start moving my stop, right?
Yes,
Because
perfect. I was
we're
just gonna
getting
say,
that impulse to the downside. Let
and
me
you're putting it
switch.
exactly where I would too.
There we go. And then sometimes I go and check a higher time frame to see if it makes sense.
Beautiful.
I moved my TP because we're getting increased volume, and then what I'll do is just I'll just move it down with the how do you call that, with the asset,
Sure.
because
Yeah.
as we're getting increased volume, it's very possible that we get that elastic uh, uh, tap all the way back up.
Mhm.
So we'll see.
Definitely true. So
Yeah, I
I
should have
I
TP'd
love
there.
moving the stop down, and so some traders might say this is a lack of discipline. He's moving his take profit. No, you have got new information. So
Yep,
why wouldn't you use that and factor that in, you know? So
exactly.
you're not being a gunslinger here. You just locked in. I believe you just locked in profit, right? That's take or the stop. At the very least, you're locking in a very small loss, if anything, you know?
Yeah, I think I would be. I don't even remember what my loss is, but I would be either at a very small loss or break even.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful.
So yeah, we want to see if we'll get follow through. Now I had a level down there, so I want to see how far down we go. And then I'll gradually follow the trade. Again, we're trading the price action. We're not trading P&L.
Beautiful.
So we'll see what happens. I like that initial down move. It is so far not proving to be a liquidity sweep, but again, we
Yeah.
could be wrong. So
No,
we
I
continue
love
moving down.
I love this. I love the follow-up candle after that big high volume one. It tried to push up and it just closed at the
Yeah,
low. To
I
me,
like
it's
that
not
too.
showing any big life. So for me, you're talking about not trading the profit loss, and I remember kind of sitting on the fence there and saying giving a wishy washy answer. A little more about my opinion on that. I think it's really good to have kind of two sets of stops at times if you have multiple contracts or multiple lots of shares, because
Yep.
then I can have my if the idea plays out, it shouldn't come back over this level. So basically, that where the red fell off the cliff.
Hmm.
But if that's my only stop, I'm leaving a lot on the table if it does do one of those false auction whip backs all the way backs, right?
Yeah.
So for me, that's enough of a gain where I'd probably put, if I had two contracts, for example, I'd either take one off here and look for a
I,
little bit of a bounce to add it
yep.
back, or I would just put one stop maybe a little bit above 50% of this big red candle. So that if we do get that big mean reversion up, well, at the very least, I'm pocketing some of this big flush down.
So you're
And
saying
how I,
in this area here or around
yes,
here?
somewhere like that. And it's not an exact science.
Okay.
In general, the idea being that if it's a dead cat bounce, it can retrace 50% of the move and then
Definitely.
continue to keep falling. And I don't want to knock myself out at that 50%. So it's more of a, I will say this is more of a little bit of a nuance and a mental stop where I'm looking for, I can see a wick up to that 50%, but if a candle
Hmm.
closes over 50% of a recovery, of
Hmm.
a big move down into the bottom of a range, I start getting my hackles up thinking, hey, maybe they're running stops and want to whip it back up.
Yeah.
I
Totally,
to,
entirely possible. And speaking of ranges, when we were talking about that this
oh
morning,
yeah,
you could see that
there you go.
if we talk about a measured move, I mean this distance and this distance is exactly where they're taking profits, right there.
Yeah,
You see?
and it just makes sense.
So this was where my TP was initially, and I should have been getting out. Unfortunately, now I only have
Yeah.
one contract in, and as you were saying, that's exactly where I would be taking my first contract off if I
Hmm.
had multiple contracts, and maybe adding back before I would have added there, but we're talking, we're doing a bunch of things, so
Yeah.
I missed it.
Well, and also there's no right
And
answer. That's what I really try to tell people, especially when I do the one-on-one coaching, because
mhm,
it's nobody's fault, but there's a lot, especially when you're a new trader, of outcome dependence. And
yep,
the whole thing is, I just keep people are saying like, well, in this scenario, if I have one contract, should I sell? What's the rule? Should I sell or should I hold? It's like, brother, if I knew, I'd be a millionaire. The whole point is that they can mess with you. They can do different
yeah,
scenarios. There's different contingency plans that can fire based on different economic data or
yep.
so many things that all that we really know is this could happen or this could happen. And me and my friends joke around. We say it's 50-50. It's always 50-50. It
It's
happens or it
always
doesn't, right?
50-50.
So you got to be
It
ready
is
for that 50
always.
that's going against your bias. So if
Yep,
you have two contracts, you have the beautiful luxury of saying, hey, if I'm right, well, then excellent. It keeps going. If I'm
yep.
wrong, I get to lock in a great place right here. And
I,
there's other ways you can do that too with hedging at key spots
hmm.
too. But at the,
Yep.
at the end of the day, nobody knows at these breakpoints. So the whole thing is you get a move, you book profit, you'll see what happens next, right?
Exactly.
I love it.
I always talk about the payroll and the bonus. So let's say I
Ooh,
had two contracts. What I would do is the first one, that 1-to-1 risk reward would be my payroll. Okay, I got paid for my work today.
nice.
I either recovered my loss or I made whatever profit, and then the rest, the bonus, we'll see if I get the bonus or not. And that's when I talk about moving stops to break even, letting the thing run, because maybe it's one of those 1 in a million days where you get a
Yeah.
huge move down and you make your P&L for the month, or maybe it's not going to be. So are you going to get the bonus or not? Just like if you're working a regular job, sometimes the company does well, you get a great bonus, or you're in sales and it was a great year. Sometimes you don't get a great bonus. So same thing here, same scenario. So the
I
way
love it.
we're reacting here, I don't like. So I'm just gonna exit the trade because I don't have multiple contracts.
Totally, totally love that.
I'm in. We were 2-to-1, so we got our loss back, made some profit, and
And great cover. Look at that. Look at that. And here's the thing, we didn't know what was
it's a
going to happen.
measured move.
Yeah, we didn't know what was going to happen, but what we did know is we got a measured move, right? We got
Exactly.
some big flush to a level where we don't know. Maybe they chop it here for 20 minutes. Here's the other thing. They could chop this for 15 minutes and it could go lower. And
Yep.
Dave, are we going to feel bad about that?
Not at all.
Heck no,
Not
because
at all.
we didn't know. What we did know is there was an inflection point. You made a great trade and you booked profit, and now, lo and behold, your feelings were validated. This is the best feeling. This is a better feeling than the bottom
Oh yeah.
falling out for me.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
cover and then it goes up.
Yeah. I like that.
Music to my ears. Music
I
to my
like that.
ears.
I love
Because
that.
we
I
can
love that.
never, I'm a big stoicism guy. Like all we can
Okay.
control is our reactions to things, right?
Yep.
So we have no idea what the market's going to do every single day. And not only that, it's it's not to get too philosophical, but
No, please do.
I tend to think of the world sort of like there's a philosopher that uses the term fang de noumena, and all that means is that usually people are focused on phenomena. Like it's like how okay, I'm observing everything in the world, and that is giving everything value. This guy would say actually the world is happening regardless of what's going on with you. It
Yep.
it it has teeth. It is not it is not friendly. It does not care about your feelings. That's not to say that there isn't so much joy and beauty in the world, but I think that looking at it like that, and also looking at it like you're saying, like a bonus, it gets us out of this mode of entitlement because the market
Yeah.
doesn't owe us anything. It is a fanged numina. It can bite you. So
Indeed.
we gotta be ready. It's like taming a wild animal.
That's
You
true. That's
never
true.
turn your back on it. Never turn your
That's
back on
true.
a wild animal.
You
And it's
cannot. You
not that
cannot.
animals are bad. I love animals, but I'm not gonna stick my hand in the cage.
That's true. We're not gonna go and tickle the gorilla or go pull the tiger's tail.
I like
So
that. Tickling the gorilla. I need more. Being a streamer, like I find myself saying the same thing over and over. So I say touching the stove. I'm gonna start saying tickling the gorilla because
hey,
same outcome.
we're coming out with so many sayings today. You had your dove thing earlier, so these are good ones. I'm gonna have to write them down to remember.
We're gonna have
But
our own nomenclature.
there you go. There you go. There you go. But yeah, totally agree. Totally agree there. That bonus and payroll thing is something I had to come up with because I was constantly frustrated with missing out on big moves. And I couldn't figure out what was the best way to go about that because it would be okay, I missed this big move last week. Let me try. And then I'm trading to kind of to try and catch another big move and then it never happens, and then
Yeah.
when it does happen, I'm not in the trade or
Right.
I got out too early. So it was very frustrating. So based on, my data, my analysis and how I trade and what I saw, I was like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have set points when I'm trading where I absolutely take profit,
Yes.
and
Love it.
then I leave the rest on the table to find out if I'm right or not, right? So, for example,
Beautiful.
if this is a great scenario, I can't remember. Let me put my executions down. Unfortunately, I was trading with a single contract, but if I was trading, and eventually, when we get the buffer and everything makes sense, we'll gradually increase the amount of contracts we take.
Mhm.
I'm trying to be extremely disciplined here because we're
I love it.
publicly accountable. But
It's a double-edged sword, right? But it,
yeah,
it really
exactly.
does make us execute how we
It
should.
does. It does.
I
So
love
we
it.
entered here, right? We entered here. I think my stop was somewhere. Yeah, the logical stop was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I would usually do if I had multiple contracts is and right now, I'm trading with maybe 1/10 of what I usually trade with. So I would have multiple options on where to take profit. I would be taking profits every half measured move. So
Yeah.
here is where I would be taking one off. Here is where I would be taking another one off. And that would be, 2 to 1 risk reward, but it would be 2.5 to 1. And then I would take another profit where I put this line there, which is another half move, and then final would probably be around there. Or if I have more contracts on, I would just let it run
Yeah.
right up until the news comes out.
I
And
love that.
depending on how deep in the money I would be, that's what I would be doing. But it's based on, okay, this was the opening range. And then if you look at the opening range, and it's funny, I didn't know this was going to be the opening range. But isn't it funny how the half percentage point of this measured move is exactly where I put the level? And isn't
Mhm.
it funny that my next support level is exactly where that 2 to 1. So if we're counting this as the one, This
Yeah.
is one and another two. And isn't it funny that it falls exactly right there? I did not know that this was going to be the opening range.
Yeah.
But once we get
Right.
the
But
range,
it
these
works.
moves line up completely with the levels I marked out before we open, which tells me that, hey, these are very logical points
Yes.
of where to get in, get out, whatever. And these are probably areas where other traders who have different ideas are going to be, entering, exiting, doing whatever they do. And, where there's the most volume is, whoever has the most volume, the buyers or sellers are the ones that are going to win. But it allows you not to trade your P&L and be more of a stoic, in relation to your trading. And here we got out and we're done.
Beautiful. Guys, I hope you're listening because Dave is spitting absolute alpha here, guys. This is like really, really actionable stuff that I wish I heard early in my trading career. I'm going to be honest. Like this is it's not like the flashy, glamorous stuff that, that
Yeah, we're
probably,
not showing Lamborghinis here.
exactly, exactly. Dave might have one in the garage, but you won't
Oh
know.
no, I wish.
But you won't know. um, but it's just I don't know. It's just one of those things. This is really really the coolest job, but it's like just
Yep.
constant puzzle solving. So
Yep. Constant
I don't know.
problem solving. Constant problem solving. We haven't touched on the other assets. I just want to touch on oil and gold because
Yeah,
we've been staring at the NQ. We've taken our trade. I already taken my two trades. I fat fingered that second trade and was happy it turned into
yeah,
a
it worked
win.
out.
But I definitely want to look at the gold and want to look at crude oil for the
Yeah.
traders out there.
Do you have any insights on how gold is moving in the past like couple weeks or so, specifically in terms to like how it traditionally is a risk off asset, and then in the past year it's kind of been trading as a risk on asset, and like I've been trying to kind of make heads or tails of what's going on here. I think I want to buy gold, but I'm having a hard time justifying it. I guess is where I'm at.
Yeah, gold is traditionally, man, blah, 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 traditionally known as, one of those safe haven assets. And I'll be honest, it kind of surprised me, that reaction we got. Let me reset that chart. That reaction we got over there after
Yeah.
after the war broke out. By the
Yeah.
way, they
Right.
were smart about it. They did it on a Saturday when the markets
Yep.
were closed. I don't think that was random.
No, no
Um,
coincidences, right, Dave?
yeah, that's true. Yeah. So I honestly thought we would have gotten a bigger bounce on gold.
Yeah.
I thought money was going to be running there. Now I've heard, this is not for me. I've heard many analysts say that, okay, these are, money managers getting out and getting money on the sidelines to be able to redeploy. They want to, there's probably been some margin calls where people have to, get out of positions. That's probably why we had that reaction. We had a similar
Yeah.
reaction on silver. We had, the reaction on the equity side. So I think, and I've been saying it for a while, ever since we had that huge, insane, this looks big because this
Yeah.
is this is a 400 point move, I think, if I'm
Yeah.
not
Just about. I
mistaken.
think pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
So yeah, this is a 400 point move on gold, which is insane. I mean, you're
Yeah.
talking $100 a point. So
Not your grandfather's gold. This thing is
yeah.
trading like a meme stock, and
So
I'm here for it. But
yeah, I'm here for it too. But my thing is, I think gold, we're still in a wait and see mode here, and I
yeah,
don't want to be on either side. Honestly, I haven't traded
totally.
gold. I rarely traded, but I don't want to be on either side for two reasons. First of all, we had this huge run up, so regardless of the war, we would have been in a weird area here, right?
Right, kind of no
And then on
man's
top
land.
of that, you layer that war, and we're like, okay, what's gonna happen? I expect things to revert back up, and as I say, as long as we're trading above 5,000, more specifically that 5,100 area, I think we are back to into bullish territory.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't know if you do gold silver ratio, but
Yes, I do. Yes, sir.
okay,
I think it's really important right now, especially since silver's been taking the lead. So I
still,
kind of look at silver gold ratio in the same way I'd look at like kind of similar to like a Nasdaq over SPY or RSP or
Okay.
something.
Let's
So
look at
it
it.
basically, yeah, absolutely. Basically, I look at it like as the risk appetite for the precious
So
metals complex.
got it.
And I
Just
love that you look at these ratio charts. I think they're so valuable, and they can be a little bit tricky to get your head around. But when you kind of unlock what they can tell you, there are certain ones that give you so much information about market cycles in particular.
indeed, indeed, and I want to touch on that really quick.
Totally.
Let me try to see because I haven't put the
It's always a
formula in.
pain
There
in
you
trading
go.
view to do the pairs
Yeah,
with the features. You have to type in the full thing. Yeah.
yeah. All right, so let's
Do
put in
that while
weekly.
live on camera. It's like, and talking.
No stress.
No,
All right,
you're
here
right.
we go. We got it. We got it. We got it. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I
baby.
have the gold silver ratio pulled up here. We're at
Oh yeah. Wow.
63. We're at 63 right now. When we hit that top, it was at the 40-ish level. And if we, look at way back in 2011, when we had that high, it was at, those 30, 37. So I think as long as we are, as if we reach a 40, 40-ish gold to silver ratio, we are topping. And until we get out of this 75 to 62 ratio, we are just going to rotate.
I like that.
And I think for us to bottom, it would have to go down to those 75s. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens with these assets.
Absolutely. I'm pulling up one more chart that I think is really interesting. Of course, I'm
Put
struggling
on
with
your
the same
screen.
thing you just were. So give me a
No, it's
second.
fine.
But
It's fine.
I'll have that for you in just a moment. It's the copper over gold chart, which I think is very interesting. Basically, copper being a bellwether for economic strength, industrial resilience, and output,
Hmm.
growth in general, to put it short, and
Hmm.
gold being indicative of the risk off equity or at least commodity.
Yep.
So, yeah, so that is doing very interesting things on the very long term chart. Come on, where is it?
You're trying to pull it up. I thought you had it on your screen.
It let's see. It's is it one exclamation point HG over? I'm
So
just
it's
gonna
put
actually
put
click
uh put
features.
HG, or I could try on my end. Let me just botch it here live on screen.
I apologize to your
HG,
producer.
and the producer is here. It's me.
Punching
HG,
air like, oh, should have had
HG.
this ready.
Oh,
My bad.
we said HG
There we go.
over gold.
I got it up. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you got it. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. How do I switch to my screen though? I don't want to mess your guys' setup here. Oh, I
Uh,
see. I'm sharing that window.
you're
There we go.
sharing. Yeah, you
I'll
just
switch it
switch the
right here.
window.
We'll do it live.
There
There
we
we
go.
go. All right. So this is going to be the copper over gold futures contract. So this is a monthly chart, and I just have this. Let me take my indicators off, make it a little bit clearer. If we get rid of the squiggle, what we should be able to see is basically one big channel. I'm actually going to turn it to quarterly candles. So each of these is 3 months. What we can
Yeah.
see is this big descending channel, but every
Hmm.
single time we bottom off of this, we start seeing a sustained period of economic growth and of general risk on activity here. So I'm hoping that in the next
Hmm.
couple months we'll have a nice bottom wick here. Copper will be
Hmm.
pulling ahead of gold, and that will be a nice little sign that Dr. Copper is back in town and we can continue on upwards. Um, if you'll bear with me just for one more, I have one cool ratio chart here, and that's
Definitely.
going to be NQ over gold as well.
You're gonna have me figuring out all kinds of ratios right now. The other day I was trying to price US home prices in
Ooh.
eggs, avocados, and what was it? The thing is I was looking at the whole US home prices in gold and I was like, man, what else could I price it in? And then I found this really interesting fact. Sorry to interrupt you,
No,
but
not at all.
2010, okay,
Yeah.
2010, if you were buying a house in the US in eggs, avocados, copper, gold, or dollars,
Yeah.
2010 was the best time to buy. You could see all the chart. I lined up all the charts,
Yeah.
and all of them were just, forming that kind of dip there. So anyways, sorry, I
That's
went on a
super.
sidetrack there.
Well, I'm just looking at my chart here, and it's an inflection point here too for risk on activity. And this is Nasdaq over gold.
Nice.
Here is what I posit to you. What if tech has actually been in a bear market since
Hmm,
October 2021? What if this is actually what it feels like to be in a bear market for these risk on assets
there
in the
you go.
relative perspective where we could expand much higher? Could we go lower? Yes, absolutely. But I'm just noting that we could see significant outperformance if this quarterly candle does play out strongly with a strong bottom wick showing that money is leaving that gold complex like you're kind of talking about. It's dead
Yep.
money right now. What if, I'm not even saying base case, but I'm entertaining the possibility that maybe gold needs to take a haircut and copper and Nasdaq tech can really power up here off the back of mega caps kind of getting through this AI spookies narrative. So I
It
don't know what's going to happen, but I am
it
keeping an eye
is
on these charts.
It is entirely possible. It is entirely possible, and this looks an awful lot like these home. It came to mind because I remember these home prices. If you do, since you're on it, if you do MS, what is the home thing? Give me 1 second. I'm going to tell you right now. MSP US. There you
Oh,
go.
nice. Yeah,
Median
median
sale.
sales price.
Yeah, and then you divide that by gold. So
Oh,
GC1
oh, GC1. Yeah,
or whatever you
yeah,
want.
that probably has better price history going back further. Whoa, that's cool. So, okay, so this is the median sales price of U.S. homes
Yeah,
compared to gold. So
compared to gold.
the strength of the median U.S. home price compared to gold. So basically, this chart is showing us. I'm thinking on the fly here, but it seems like it's showing us the strength of the commoditization of, or the financialization of homes. You know,
Basically,
becoming an asset
yeah,
essentially and creating.
basically if you were buying homes in gold.
So we should have been buying homes in gold a long time ago, is what you're telling me. You're telling me that I should have been buying homes a long time ago. Okay,
In gold.
you heard it here first, folks.
So yeah,
But yeah, no, that's awesome.
I
Wow.
thought this chart was looking interesting, and this looked like a breakout to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And
If you're
maybe a
looking
little
at
channel
strictly
action.
technicals.
It's a lot of room.
Yeah. So and that got me into looking at, avocado prices and everything else.
What?
So
Well, it's interesting. The soft commodities are going crazy. What is it? Cotton, I believe, was going wild.
yeah, I think corn too.
Cotton's breaking out. Corn, yeah, corn
Look at
coming
volatility.
out off the bottom with big volume there. You can see I cut my teeth as a commodity trader way back here. These old
Hey.
levels back when I used to use these colors. It's like it's cutting into a tree and seeing the different rings,
Yeah,
of a
yeah,
chart.
that's true. Zooming back in.
Wheat, another one here, just coming off the bottom in these long-term mean
Yep.
reversion setups. It's not the worst time to be a commodity bro, and we are seeing
Not at
that.
all. I think we're getting in at the right time.
And these fertilizer stocks as well, these showing a lot of strength. So it's an interesting time for the market because if you're, I'm seeing like different cohorts of traders like waking up out of hibernation. It's like the commodity traders like, what year is it? Like it's like I can start the value investors last year were like,
Yeah.
what? My stocks are going up, so
Yeah,
it's
exactly. I don't know
absolutely
what you're
not.
talking about.
So
Indeed, indeed.
before you guys get sick of me, RSP over SPY here. So the relative strength SPY compared to SPY, it's been tough being in
Yeah.
not mega caps until very recently.
It has been indeed. I'm glad I stopped trading small caps, and I mean, I know the opportunities are constantly showing up, but I'm glad I stopped trading these and switched to large caps, 'cause I
Dave, I
found
see
out
why they paired us together
yeah,
because I see some of these guys trade some of these young bucks, and it's to me, I'm like, God bless bless you. More power to
Yeah,
you. I'm happy it works for you. It stresses me out.
I
You
can't do
know,
it.
I like the predictability of I know what my ATR is. I'm a boring like I like mean reversion and range trading. You
Yeah.
know, it scares
Yeah,
me
I
when
like
things
my
go.
mean reversion, trend following, not ranges, but yeah, we align there because I can't do the small caps. I can't do another Tilray. I can't do another I'm short and then it halts and then I'm waiting for half an hour and I don't know where things are gonna open or close.
Yeah.
It's I can't do that anymore. Yeah.
It's like the picture. It's like, yeah, day trading is a great and stress-free hobby. You know, Harold, the 26-year-old day trader. It's like some 90-year-old guy. That's what it feels like sometimes, you know?
Indeed, indeed. So
So
yeah, oh,
I think the capital preservation, mental capital preservation. I'm sorry, I got a big dog coming down the stairs. Let me close the door.
no problem. Go ahead. I have Georgie Jelashivi saying this is futures. Yes, this is futures.
Oh,
I
let
see
me
you
push back here.
asking for a giveaway. Don't worry, Georgie. We will have giveaways soon or eventually. Just stay tuned. You know, like the channel, subscribe. Thank you for the fire and hearts. I appreciate it. Just like and subscribe and keep following us, and as soon as we have giveaways you will know. And again, you can join us on Discord, and you'll have all the up-to-date information right there.
Dave, by the way, if I could interrupt real quick,
Please do.
what's the easiest way to get into your Discord there? Into the is this the Fivers Discord or your personal Discord?
um no, it's the Fivers Discord. Everything is the
Okay, excellent.
Fivers. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
everything
So then I will be making my
everything's the
way
Fivers.
over
Please do,
there.
please do.
So
You'll
let me see
see
if
me
if I just
lurking.
Google Fivers Discord, is that gonna get me there?
No, you have to actually go in the
Oh,
hub.
oh,
But I'll
I
send
did
you
see that.
I'll send you the link.
So that's a perk, right? If you get an account, you get access to that amazing community too,
Exactly.
right? Awesome. So yeah,
Exactly.
I'm gonna be getting in there, getting in the
Yeah.
mix this week for
Yeah,
sure.
please do.
I'm excited to
There's
be
two
part of that.
Discord for the Fivers. There's one that's the Fivers Forex, the CFD, and then there's the futures. So make
Okay.
sure it's well, I like the other guys too. We've done some lives together, but make sure you're in the futures Discord.
I don't
And
know,
if you
those
have any
metals
issues, I'll
traders,
send
they're
you the
kind of
link.
those
You
metals
said
traders are
what?
kind of weird. I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
CFDs. Do you trade CFDs at all? Any of that kind of side of stuff?
No,
No.
CFDs were always. I actually traded CFDs. The one time I decided to trade CFDs, and it was with a prop firm way back in I don't know when, 2, 3 years ago. No, it was more like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. They ended up being scammers, so
Ah,
never went back to CFDs. And in the U.S., it's always been a gray area.
yeah. Mhm,
Well, it used to be. I
mhm.
don't know if it still is. So that's why I switched to futures.
I'm totally with
I
you.
don't. Yeah, but
It, it's
yeah.
it's it's alarming how many people have stories like that. I've got a story like that. My friend's got a story of being denied over 5 grand in payouts from a
Oh
quote
wow.
unquote reputable one. And there was a lot of shifting in the scenes here, and I just thank my lucky stars that I found Fivers and Trade the Pool, who I work with as well,
Yeah.
and they're both just really high quality. And it we're catering to people who do this for a job. You got to take this seriously, right? And these guys take
Indeed.
the customer support seriously. They
Yeah.
understand that this is our livelihood, and a lot of them didn't respect that. It felt like. So
Yeah.
I'm just super happy. I feel like I found my people, you know. So
Yeah. 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 Me too. Same here. I mean, the that company. I don't think they came out to intentionally scam people because they checked a lot of the boxes. I wasn't
yeah,
some just guy just picking some random prop firm.
right.
But I guess they really couldn't handle the business well,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they ended up bailing out. So it was a shame.
Well, there's a lot
Um,
of things like that it isn't necessarily maliciousness, but just not to get on a soapbox, but I think
oh,
regulatorily there's not a lot of protections for consumers these days in certain areas like
yeah,
this. So what is great is Trustpilot is very very that's a good barometer if you're ever not sure about a
indeed.
website. Yeah, that's what I mean. When I got the job offer from Trade the Pool, that's the first thing I checked. Like, these guys legit. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
sick.
yeah,
Awesome. Okay,
exactly.
cool. I can
Yeah,
actually, yeah, I can
you
actually work
could
with these guys.
work with these guys. Yeah, yeah. Trustpilot is one. You do your research. You look at them on YouTube, see what kind of content they're producing. The good thing The great thing for me with the fibers, and it's one thing you can kind of look out for when you're looking at different prop firms is are these actual people, and are the
Yeah,
people behind the scenes showing their faces? Can you actually see an
right,
office? Is there an address? And the fibers checks all these boxes. Even if you don't put the 10-year history there,
right,
you
right.
could see real people there. You could see Michael, you could see Saul, you could see everybody else, and the pictures of everyone's on the website.
Yeah,
And the
no,
actual
absolutely.
CEO is trading and showing you things. And so you're like, okay, this is a legit company that has people behind it. Because I've seen so many firms where you go, it's just a website and there's no insight into the actual company. Do you have an office? Is it just a PO box and it's one guy behind a computer running this prop firm? And so
Yeah.
so you don't know.
Yeah, everything looks good until they get your money, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
nobody to call, nobody to
Yeah.
reach out to. Your
Exactly.
trades are getting canceled, all sorts of chaos. So,
Yeah.
it,
So you
it,
don't
it,
want
it-
that.
you know, stick with what works, what's trusted. By the way,
Indeed.
I got NAS 100 on my screen just because I had the trading view window open here, and we've got the nice curl up. I'm wondering if
We
this is the
did.
low of the day, just because we have ticked my boxes for a proper bottom. I probably should have been trading it, but I'm enjoying chatting up with you, Dave. But we
That's
do
fine.
have the sweep out capitulation. We
Mm-hmm.
have that right into my pivot here. So this is a Camarilla pivot system, just roughly going off of ATRs, average true ranges, and a few other components there to basically get rough areas where we can expect either price to try to catch for a mean reversion move. For
Mm-hmm.
example, this morning in this green zone, it caught very nicely and respected this for an attempt to push up. Didn't get it, but
Yep.
hey, it showed buyers, and then it had to sweep this out, but it did hold this pivot, and now we're seeing a higher low, a nice flag. Now moving averages are starting to curl on up and over. So to me, this looks really nice and really constructive for a potential failed auction setup where you get the failed breakdown on the reclaim here, and ideally, ideally it pops back tests and finds some buyers there, and we can get in off the moving averages. So if we might see that in the next half hour, 15 minutes play out. I can't chase this up here. My tight entry would have been on a candle close, back testing over this moving average ribbon after the higher low into this area of interest. But hey, you know what? You get one of these every single day just about. So if I miss this, that's fine.
No problem at all. It is interesting that that pivot falls exactly where that
Oh, your measured
box
move.
we had there, that measured move. Your pivot lines up exactly with that. And now I'm so happy that we're getting the confirmation that our exit right there
Mm,
was entirely justify, Mr. Steve
hey,
Justify.
love
Hey.
it. All right, we're
you
wrapping it all
know,
together. It's a
indeed,
full circle
indeed.
moment.
Full
No,
circle
it's
moment.
beautiful. The last thing, I know we're running out of time here, but I just wanted to really emphasize, hey, guys, this is alpha. So him describing Dave describing these measured moves and how isn't it funny? Isn't it funny how he says, these things line up. This happens so often if you know what to look for. Different systems will line up to provide confluence or multiple factors stacking in a trade's directional favor.
Yep.
This is how you juice, this is how you take those 50% win rates to 60, 70, 80%. You can really, really refine your entries and get amazing opportunities by looking for where these systems might stack up, where these measured move traders might be getting out, where my Camarilla pivot buyers might be getting in.
Indeed.
These areas of interest. That's what
Indeed.
I was looking for.
Indeed.
So
Indeed.
awesome.
Well,
That's all I got here. Thank you,
no
Dave.
problem at all. On that note, we are gonna wrap it up here. I think today was a great, great session. Glad we were able to do some live trading and showcase everything. And I will see you next week in the markets. Good luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dave. Have a great
All right.
week.
Take care, you too.